Fatal Females! So welcome back to another episode of Fatal Female Friday. In today's case, we're actually going to be discussing a case out of Lexington, Kentucky. So yeah, it's about the case of Tina Marie Powell and LaFonda Foster. So if you've heard of this case, I hope at least you will learn something new from all the research I've done. And so yeah, let's just go and get started.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, maybe you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, under my bed. Think you're something out of my nightmares. See me right there. But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, then will you get bored of killing me?
And so LaFonda Fay Foster was born on August 30th, 1963. And apparently since 1976, from what I saw, apparently she had been in and out of prison. And so not much, from what I can find, is actually known about LaFonda's childhood. And so head on to our other killer, Tina Marie Powell. She was born on October 10th, 1958. The two of them would eventually meet sometime in their 20s. Tina would be working as a stripper, and both had apparently done prostitution to feed their drug habits. On April 23rd, 1986, LaFonda and Tina would be at 73-year-old Carlos Elliott Kern's house. And so Carlos was born on May 14th, 1974. His wife, 45-year-old Virginia, and the live-in housekeeper, 59-year-old Trudy Harold, was there also. And so Virginia was born on September 16th, 1940, and Trudy was born on March 27th, 1927. And so sometime during that day, Virginia would actually call 911 saying that there were two women there that were drunk that wouldn't leave. And so the police would show up to find Virginia actually drunk, but the two women were coherent, so they eventually left without much of anything happening. LaFonda and Tina would actually leave to go to a party at a nearby apartment, but with Tina trying to sell a knife that would be later used in the murders. Virginia got Carlos to write the girls like a $25 check, because remember, apparently they were friends. And so because Carlos was somewhat disabled, he obviously couldn't drive. And so Virginia was drunk, so obviously she couldn't drive either. So then Trudy, Virginia, and Tina all left together. While they were out, Jimmy, Roger Keene, and Theodore Sweet came over. Theodore was born on December 27th, 1933, and Roger was born on January 24th, 1939. And so then at one point during that night, Tina and LaFonda would end up taking she would end up taking all five of them. So Trudy, Virginia, Carlos, Jimmy, and Theodore, all as hostages. LaFonda did while Tina drove. And so they go cash the check, and they can't. And so apparently, on the show that I first saw this on, apparently they couldn't go cash the check because Carlos had to, sign it first. Apparently it was a Social Security check. They go to a bait shop where they eventually are able to cash the check. LaFonda would apparently drive to Lester Luttrell's house, apparently to get some money. They drive them around the whole night, where eventually they end up taking them to a field where Tina ends up stabbing all five of them. This leaves them wounded but not dead. And so LaFonda actually decides to shoot all five of them, which somehow still doesn't kill them. And so then Trudy Harold's throat is slashed by Tina, making her the first official deceased victim. And so they went, when they were leaving, apparently her body got stuck under the car, and they ended up dragging her 225 feet. They then go to a bar where it's believed that Tina actually knew the manager. And so she ended up getting 4.22 caliber bullets, which apparently that's the type of bullet that the gun accepted. They would then drive to a back alley. So then Virginia would end up being shot in the head with her husband Carlos watching. Tina would then stab her, and then she's also run over, which her being run over is believed to be her cause of death. They then goes back to the bar for more bullets, but then of course they are denied. So then LaFonda goes to her father's house, to which, he didn't have any either. And so the three men, because they just killed both the women at this point, the three men that were still alive, they would beg Tina for help, but she would say that she would help them more by staying. And so they ended up asking a witness for bullets and money for cocaine. The witness had obviously noticed the people in the car and the blood and had asked about it. LaFonda replied that she was going to shoot them later. And so, I feel like in a normal situation, the police would have been called at this point, but we don't know if the police had been called. They arrive at another field. Roger would be shot 3 times in the head. Theodore would be shot in both ears. Carlos was shot twice in the head, and all three would be run over by the car, but the car would be stuck on Roger. The car would be set on fire, with Carlos still being in the back seat. Tina and LaFonda would walk to a nearby public hospital to clean up while covered in blood.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
LaFonda would be calling a cab for the two of them at this time. The nurses called 911. Police were already in the hospital due to unrelated reasons, and the two would actually be arrested for public intoxication. While Tina was getting booked, LaFonda would flush her shoelaces and socks and would switch sweatpants with another inmate. Police would end up getting evidence from said sweatpants once the inmate gave them to them. And the blood that they found had identifying factors from all 5 victims. And so .22 caliber bullets would also be found in LaFonda's sweatpants. LaFonda had apparently was even bragging about committing the crimes and admitted to destroying evidence.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
And LaFonda had even confessed to an inmate that she had killed Trudy and Virginia because they were bitches, and killed Carlos, Theodore, and Roger because they basically were witnesses to the crime. And so she even compared herself to Charles Manson.
Funny.
And so the bodies would be found within 5 miles of each other. Trudy was found around 9 p.m. on April 23rd. Virginia was found around 10:30 p.m. and the last 3 would be found at 12:10 a.m. on April 24th. And so both of them would be held at $100,000 bail. And so while at trial, Tina's lawyer would try to say that she only went along so that way she wouldn't get killed herself by LaFonda. Because remember, LaFonda was the one that had the gun. And so LaFonda's lawyer would actually try to say that she was too drunk to understand what was happening. And they would even try to say that they were on drugs as to why they did what they did. And so she would even try to plead insanity, to which she was found to be extremely emotionally disturbed. And so during the trial, the jury was actually shown photos of the victims. And then also apparently there was an inmate by the name of Betty McCain who would say that LaFonda had apparently claimed that she had bought the 3 men hamburgers and fries and then went on to kill them. And so in 1987, Tina was charged with 5 murders with the possibility of parole after 25 years. LaFonda would get charged with 5 counts of first-degree murder and was sentenced to death by electric chair. Her execution date was April 22nd, 1988. That same year, she would get put into Oklahoma maximum security prison because it was believed that she would be a problem in the minimum and, medium security prison in Kentucky. And so she gets another trial in 1991 after her lawyers argued that she should have gotten a separate trial from Tina. In 1996, she would say that she was ready to die. In 1997, a movie called 100 Proof would come out regarding the case. In 1999, she accepted her plea deal of life without prison parole in order not to get the death penalty. In April 2011, Tina was first eligible for parole, but it was pushed back 10 years for some reason. I couldn't find why. And she applied again in April 2021, so last year, which was denied and was told that she would have to live out the rest of her sentence.
I think you're something out of my nightmares, sitting right there. But if I lay down